Hello.
Hello.
And welcome to
Le Budget.
the Disneyland Paris, the budget.
Le Budget.
So, as you may or may not know, we have recently been on a trip, although I say recently, it feels like months ago now, on a trip to Disneyland Paris. And it was a very, very last minute trip. We booked it on the Thursday night and we went on the Sunday night to Folkestone, Monday to Disneyland Paris. So we booked it about 3 days before we went. And we tried to do it on a budget. And I'm not sure that during the vlogs we really addressed properly whether we did it on a budget or not. So we thought we would do this little video now just to tell you what we did, what we didn't do, whether we did it on a budget or not. So,
On a budget.
yeah, did we manage to do Disneyland Paris on a budget?
On a budget.
What do you think? Yes or no?
I don't know.
I think it's a bit of both, to be honest. Yes, because we did save money on some things. No, because we bought annual passes. So, like Gary's just said, his exact words were, cost us a bloody fortune. But that was because we bought the passes. So, let's start from the beginning. We used club card vouchers, Tesco club card vouchers, which we've been saving for a very, very long time. Obviously used to be worth triple your money, now they're only worth double. But we cashed all them in to pay for the shuttle. Now there are cheaper ways to get across. You can go on the ferry, which I think is cheaper. We did look into flying from an airport that's the nearest to us, would be Southend Airport. And EasyJet do flights to Paris from there. And we did look at that, didn't we? The price was pretty good because we can go kind of off season and kind of whenever we want because we don't have sort of children at school and such like. However, by the time you've added on, if you want to sit together and all that, I know it's only a short flight, so you could theoretically just go on there and treat it like a bus and just sit wherever, and because it's only about an hour's journey, isn't it?
Yeah. Or
just under. So obviously, if you did it like that, but Gary and I like to sit together. Gary likes to be near him. He likes to be with me, don't you, dear?
Yeah. Always.
Yeah. As you know, the thing is, it started to mount up, and the more we looked at it, the more expensive it became. And time-wise, even though it's a quick flight, by the time you spent your 2 hours beforehand because of security, by the time you got through, then you'd have to get the train, which we thought, there's a high-speed train which is quite reasonably priced. It's £20, but that's each way. So by the time you add that on as well, so we like the convenience of being able to take the car. The shuttle for us is a no-brainer because it's so quick and easy, isn't it now?
Yeah.
So we used the club card vouchers. So yeah, that was on a budget. Didn't really pay for the shuttle. And I think, as I explained in the very first vlog, we were looking at going down and breaking the journey up and staying overnight. Now we stayed in the Premier Inn, which was so hot. It's always so hot there. We said that last time, didn't we?
Yeah.
We said, oh, we're not going to go back there because it's too hot.
It is really convenient.
It is.
It is really convenient. It's pretty tight. It's quite a tidy one. And it is really close to the terminal.
Took us about 6-7 minutes door to door.
Yeah. But it's just so hot in there.
Bearable. Even with the fan on all night.
Yeah. But
so
minor issue, but nevertheless, I suppose it would be slightly better if you woke up the next morning having had a decent night's sleep.
But we booked that again last minute. So that was reasonably cheap anyway because we'd booked it last minute. Now, I think the trick to Disneyland Paris on a budget is you have to do your research, and you have to, I quite often will just go online and look at prices regardless of whether we're going away or not, just to see the pattern of how they go, what companies, sometimes I'll go on Travel Republic and they'll be so cheap compared to booking.com, and then the next week I can look and booking.com will beat Travel Republic and so on. So I think it's a case of you have to really just do some research and keep watching. I look all year round just to get an idea of what's going at what price, and I think that's the thing, to just sort of, you have to be a bit flexible. For us, it's, you know, we can be flexible. I know with some of you, you've got children in school or you've got set holidays at work. That's obviously a lot more difficult and harder to, you know, do a budget last minute. So we stayed at the Premier Inn, which we got reasonably priced anyway, and we offset the cost of that against the shuttle, because the shuttle is cheaper the earlier you go. So where we'd normally go mid-morning, and we'd leave, perhaps if we left from here and we went mid-morning, we'd have to get up early, and it would be slightly dearer. Whereas if we went early, it's cheaper, but we can't get up and leave. We're getting too old now to get up really early and leave from here, aren't we? So it's all too much for us. No, it's him mainly. So by staying overnight, we could get up early and get an earlier shuttle, which made the shuttle cheaper, which therefore offset the cost of what it was to stay overnight. So as far as the transport goes, from that point of view, it really didn't cost us anything at all.
No.
It was club card vouchers.
It's pretty close to a like fuel station as well, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a BP.
There's a BP literally just around the corner, which is useful, because so what we do is we leave here with a full tank, get to Folkestone, and normally go straight to the BP, grab some food, and fill it back up again. So now, so then got a full tank again as soon as we get on the train.
Although this time we did eat before we left, didn't we? We had dinner here and left a bit later.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
then we just bought some snacks.
Fuel-wise, it's handy because we filled up at Folkestone. Not that we used a hell of a lot, but we filled it up again, and we didn't put any more in there, did we? So until we got back here.
Yeah.
In fact, so after a couple of days being back here, so that was quite useful, just topping it up.
My car's a diesel, and it's pretty good on a long run. So from that point of view, a car is a better option for us. Having the car means we can take any home comforts we want to take with us, and we can load up. So this time we always take our big slab of water. I know other supermarkets are available, but we always go to Lidl. It's about £1.59 for a big slab of 12 waters. So we always take them because they are so expensive in the park. We took lots of food with us this time, didn't we? We have our breakfast in the apartment. We obviously, the Village Nature has a Dolce Gusto, a coffee machine, so we took all our own coffee pods and everything like that. So I think if you can take your home comforts, although there is a supermarket at Village Nature which was very reasonably priced, wasn't it? And it had
it's not
everything.
Bad,
so one of our vlogs, I'll put a link down below maybe, has got an overview of the supermarket.
Yeah, I think it's day 3 actually.
Yeah, possibly.
Was it 2?
Could be day 2 or 3, but I'll put a link in anyway. Insurance on the car, we literally just pay for the European insurance for that period we're away. That was something pathetic, like about £19, wasn't it, or £16
it
or
wasn't
something.
a lot, really.
So for us, travelling by car, that was the easiest way to do it, the cheapest way to do it, because we use the club card vouchers. So that is something for us on that point. We were looking at tickets, and it worked out about £280 for a 4-day ticket. And like I said to Gary, you've got to pay for parking. So yes, you can get shuttles and whatever from some of the hotels, but parking is €30 a day, which is a lot of money. It's it's $30 in America, it's €30 in Paris. It's a lot of money to pay on top. And we said 4 days, that's another €120, which is a lot to take into consideration. So on balance, we discussed it all the way there in the car, didn't we? Going back and forth as to what we wanted to do. And on balance, we said that even though we were pretty fed up with Disneyland Paris as an attitude to annual pass holders, and as you may or may not know if you followed us for a while, we've been annual pass holders for many years. And then they started taking away all the benefits and all the extras and putting the price up. And we're not hypocrites, because we vowed we wouldn't buy one, and we didn't for a whole year and a half or whatever. We haven't. But even with them taking away all the benefits that we had as extras before, it's still cheaper in the long run to get an annual pass if you're going to be there for longer. And when we go, we tend to go for 4 or 5 days at a time minimum, don't we, really? and within that year period we knew we would return, so it kind of pays for itself. The gold passes, I mean, obviously you can pay monthly as well. You pay a lump sum and then monthly. It's no extra charge for that. But the gold passes, you get 20% off your merchandise, and you get 15% off in the restaurants. So it does make it does add up.
And so, Starbucks as well.
Oh yeah, and in Starbucks. That's in the village, not in the station.
Starbucks in the village actually give you an annual pass discount.
Yeah.
Which is pretty useful.
Yeah. And the Rainforest Cafe and places like anything in the village, basically, I think will give you an annual pass discount. But all these things, you have to sort of look into it and think, right. So what I would say is, if you are going to Disneyland Paris,
on a budgie.
Yeah, on a budgie. Look at all the different annual passes and look at whether it worked for you. Some of them you can't use straight away. You have to have a few days grace or whatever. You can apply for them online, but look and work out, are you going off season? Is this going to be a one-off for you? If so, the lowest band of annual pass is pretty cheap, and it's cheaper than buying tickets. So, you've got to look, you've got to really do your research. Exactly, and it just depends on when you're going to go. If it's a one-off journey, and you're just going off peak, and you may benefit from an annual pass. You don't get all the, I don't know if you get the free parking or not. I will try and look into all this and add it all down below. But you don't get like the extra magic hours or things like that on the lower passes, and you don't get as much discount in shops and things like that. But even on the ticket price, it can work out cheaper, can't it?
Well, if you buy tickets on the gate, you've got to buy.
Well, you can't on the gate anymore.
Well, if you buy tickets, however you buy them, if you want to use both parks, you have to buy a 2-park ticket, don't you?
Yeah.
So it's,
for a 4-day 2-park ticket at the time that we went was £280 each, and we thought it's not worth it. By the time we've then got to pay parking on top, and we don't get any discounts on restaurants or merchandise. So yes, it didn't work out as cheap as we anticipated because we bought the annual passes, but that's a year's worth. So the way we've done it is we've budgeted it out over the year to work out how much it would cost us monthly, weekly, so on. But going forward, the next time we go, we can do it on a budget again. So the old Tesco Club Card points have already started racking up. We're already doing that. If
you do another trip, that will pay for one more trip. 2 trips will pay for the passes.
Yeah. So it didn't cost us anything really to get there. You pay your tolls. They were €24.70, I believe, going. So about £20-ish. Which isn't bad, and the roads are fantastic. We took lunch with us to eat en route. We took drinks with us to have en route, so no expense there. We stay off site. Now this time we stayed at Village Nature because there was a last minute special deal, and again, like I said before, watch the prices because they tend to go up, 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 then they'll suddenly drop for a little bit and then they'll go up again. So it's just finding that moment when they become cheaper. And we did get a last minute discount on that. And we always book direct with Village Nature and pay in euros because it works out cheaper. So don't go through a company that, are going to tell you how much it is in pounds, because it always ends up being more expensive. So go directly through the Village Nature website, Center Parcs website, if you're going to go there, and pay for it in euros. Because usually you get a much better exchange rate as well. If you do it, you get like a business exchange rate. So so we did that. We have looked at other staying off site, and that's the other thing is, I know staying on site, you're in the Disney bubble, you're guaranteed to get into the parks and so on, but we were told that the new annual passes, although you can only book the 3 days in a row again, we had no problems, did we, booking the next day and the next day. And we've been told that since they've changed the system, particularly the top tier annual passes don't have a problem getting into the park. So whether that would change around Christmas time or, sort of summer holidays or special weekends or Halloween or something, I don't know. But we had no problem whatsoever And the other thing with the top tier annual pass is the day we arrived and we bought them, they said you can go in today, you don't have to book that as one of your 3 days, you can actually go in on the day you buy the pass if you buy the gold pass. So we weren't expecting that, were we?
No.
And luckily it was sunny that afternoon, so we did pop in for a little while. We should have stayed longer because that was probably one of the only days that it didn't rain. But yeah, so we had that bonus of going in, and they literally booked for us the first 3 days of our trip there and then, and that was fine, wasn't it? But staying off site for us is the way forward. We've stayed on site in the past before. We love the Sequoia Lodge, we love the convenience of it, but it has just become so very expensive now, hasn't it?
Yeah,
very. I mean, you just can't. We look at it now and we just think, for what you pay for one night at the, say, the Sequoia, for example, we can get like 4 or 5 nights somewhere else.
That's just the basic rooms as well, isn't it? Or basic ticket. So
yeah, it's a, you know, basic room. Whereas where we stay now, we've always got an apartment that's got cooking facilities and such like. So, you know, fridge, freezers and things like that. But I've also been looking now at some of the more, not like Airbnb type things, or booking.com do sort of private run properties and whatever, a little bit sort of further afield, if you like. They're not really further afield, they're still only about a 10-minute drive. But this time when we went to Village Nature, they had some roadworks, so we found we had to do a 25-minute journey, didn't we, every day? Yeah. So that was a bit of a pain. So I said to Gary, if we went back, I might look at going out on a limb and look at somewhere we've never stayed before, a privately owned apartment. And I'm finding some of them even cheaper than what we did this time. So again, if you're prepared to stay off site, it doesn't take you that long to get in there, and it can make such a huge difference to the cost. And sometimes, even though it's nice to be in that Disney bubble, sometimes it's nice to step away from it, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is really. Yeah.
So I think all in all, we had intended, we'd taken with us lots of food. We did take snacks into the park, didn't we?
Yeah.
Like, you know, chew bars and like, you know, biscuit things and crisps and things like that, and some fruit and stuff to nibble on. We had intended to take sort of proper lunches in with us, hadn't we? But it was just so many times that when we went in, it was just absolutely chucking it down. It was just becoming a bit of a problem, wasn't it? So we did eat in the park more than we'd intended. However, we were generally speaking, we were only there for sort of lunchtime, weren't we, to eat? So we were sharing a meal, or we were getting a children's meal or whatever, because that seemed to be ample just to last us for lunchtime. And again, you get your discount with your annual pass. So got a problem going on there.
Yeah, it stalls a bit firm.
Yes, so we didn't perhaps save as much as we'd intended on food, but we didn't really spend that much on food because we were very sort of careful on what we ate. We didn't do any big character meals or anything like that this time. No. We didn't do any buffets or anything because we just didn't feel we needed to. Anyway, so yeah, we saved a bit on food, but not as much as we were going to. We did end up bringing quite a few bits home with us that we'd taken to intention. Yeah. But we did do some, because we were getting back earlier, we did do some meals back at the apartment, didn't we? Or we bought some bits from the supermarket to add to it. Yeah. So I think it's about adapting and just, you know, I think the problem is you go to Disney, and because everything is so expensive, when you see like a cake for like €5, you go, oh, it's only €5. And you think, oh yeah, we'll have one of them because it's only €5, it's only €9. And then when you come away and you sit back and you think, oh my God, that tiny little cupcake that was one bite cost us £5. Yeah. And I think you kind of get sucked into, because everything's so expensive, you kind of lose sight of when things seem cheap and they're not really. No. And I think you have to just be disciplined about it. And I think we've fallen into that trap so many times, haven't we?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I think now we're a bit more like, oh, actually, do we really want to spend you know, €9.
You can't, when you're in there, you can't, you know, there's only their prices.
Yeah.
So they're all sort of related to each other, aren't they?
But I think in there you start to lose concept of how expensive things are. And so, as I say, when you see something that is only like €5 or €6, it seems really cheap.
Yeah.
Whereas actually isn't compared to the outside world.
Take a checklist with you. Just make a checklist before you go, and just write down the price of a pretzel or a muffin and stuff like that. And then when you see it, you get your checklist out. And think, oh yeah, €5, or I can buy one for 60p.
Yeah, but that's not because if you're in there, you're in there. But what I'm saying is it's easy to get sucked into spending money and not think you're spending much when actually you are. And it's amazing how quickly it all adds up. So I think that's the thing. We were a lot more disciplined on this trip, weren't we?
Oh yeah.
We didn't. I mean, when Gary said we didn't really do it on a budget, we did. We didn't because of the annual passes. When he said to me, "Oh, we spent a fortune," that was because we spent the money on the annual passes.
Yeah, apart from that, you put those aside.
But
everything else was done
next to nothing,
really.
Yeah. I mean, the actual trip itself cost us virtually nothing, just because we obviously shopped around and used vouchers and such like. We took drinks and things whenever we could. We would leave the park and go to Starbucks. Now there is a Starbucks in the station, which again you can't use your annual pass discount on, but it is literally a stone's throw. It's just literally outside the ticket booth, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
And so we were going there.
It's right. So it's right by the. It's almost right in that triangle of the two parks.
Yeah. So we found it was easier to pop out and go to Starbucks and get a drink, so Gary could have his oat milk and so on, because they don't tend to do a lot of that. And it was very hard sometimes to find somewhere to have a decent coffee in Disney. And when you do get them from the little kiosks, they're usually around about €3.50, and you get a little tiny cup, about this big.
Really
I mean, they are
small.
tiny.
Really small,
Whereas you go to Starbucks, and I know it's still spending out money on a coffee but if you're looking at getting more value for your money whilst you're there, because you are kind of beholden to what you can get in that area. You can't literally carry a coffee around with you all day because it's not going to last. But obviously in a Starbucks you can get a much bigger coffee for around about the same price. So it works out better, doesn't it?
Bigger choice as well.
Yeah.
So it's
So we were doing little things like that where, I know it's not always convenient, but I think the battery's about to run out. Right, we're back in the room. I think that's back. So I think if you look at it, sort of, equate it to what you get in Disney to what you get outside, I know it means taking time out, and I know if you've got young children or whatever, it might be too much of a thing to drag out.
Even if you decide that you're going to stop in there and grab a coffee and a cake or something, sometimes they're so rammed, but when you go in there, you can't. There's nowhere to sit anyway. You can't find anywhere to sit.
What, in the parks, you mean?
In the park places, yeah. I mean, it's good if you can get in there, but if you can't, I mean, I'm saying you're going to pay quite a lot for a really small drink and a cake, and it's probably just as quick just to walk into the village.
Yeah.
To the Starbucks there, or walk out and use the one at the station. They've got like seating inside and seating outside. Well, I say outside. It's inside the station, but it's outside the actual coffee shop itself. Yeah. It's like a little patio area outside.
But they've also got like a Pret there as well, haven't they?
Oh yeah, there's a Pret.
So there are other.
Yeah, there's a Pret, and there's another place between the two of them, right next to Starbucks, which is
I can't remember what it was called now.
Called something else.
Yeah.
But that does all.
Was it the brioche dorée or something like that?
Yeah, possibly. Sort of.
It's just about being a bit savvy.
And coffees and things.
Yeah, I mean, it does take some of your time from being in the park. It does take you out of that bubble. But do you know what? Sometimes you don't realise how loud and noisy and kind of it is in the park.
Yeah.
And actually, sometimes it's nice to step away. It gives you a chance to recharge your batteries and go back afresh. And we found that, didn't we, a few times. If we came away from it and just had a drink and sat down and calmed down, it wasn't so noisy and so hustly bustly, you'd go back and think, right, okay, now we're ready for the next bit. So it is lovely to be in the park. It is lovely to eat and drink in the park and not have to worry and whatever. But if you are on a budget, it can be done. You can do Disney on a budget. It's just about being savvy, having a bit of willpower maybe. and being sensible, really, isn't it? So I think all in all, we did do it on a budget.
Oh yeah.
It was just the annual passes.
Just not staying on site.
Yeah.
Will save you an absolute fortune.
Yeah.
Really,
yeah.
big time.
Yeah.
Big money.
Yeah.
Because they're so expensive now.
I mean, if you stay off site, there are quite a few places that will run a shuttle bus. They're sometimes a bit of a bun fight to try and get on because they do get packed, don't they, some of them?
Yeah.
So it would be up to you whether that's something you'd want to do or not. But usually they are free shuttle buses from most of the local off-site.
Yeah.
And
they're quite regular as well.
That would save you €30 a day on parking. So again, it's all little things like that. It's a little bit more inconvenient sometimes, and it takes a little bit of time, but it is worth it in the long run.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So in Villages Europe, which the train station, if you don't know, Chessy, the Marne Valley Chessy train station is literally next to Disneyland Paris. It's next to the entrance. And the train is the RERA line that you need, and it takes you to Villages Europe. It is literally one stop. It is literally 2 minutes on the train. We went all the way into Paris, and that was only €5 each.
Yeah, that was really
so
cheap.
I can't remember how much it is to Villages Europe, but it won't be any more than €5 each, because that's what it costs all the way to Paris. So in Villages Europe there is a huge supermarket, Auchan, and it's got everything. It's even got Disney toys in there, so if you've got little ones and you want to buy Disney toys a bit cheaper, Auchan's your place. There is literally everything in there.
They bought some engine oil there one year.
Yes,
it might have been last year actually. Was it last year?
Or the year before, I can't remember, but yeah. But they literally...
There was a particular oil I was after, and it was really difficult to get over it. Well, I could get it, but it was a lot more expensive. And I bought the engine oil from Auchan. It's pretty heavy, but then it was in the car anyway, so it didn't really matter. So
if you want to go there, you can go there and stock up on, drinks and milk and food and whatever to take back. That's really worth doing as well. So, and that is obviously very good sort of supermarket prices, isn't it?
Nice,
so
I'm not a great lover of supermarkets, but that's quite impressive actually, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's two layers. It's like there's 2 floors to it, and it's just massive.
Oh, it's got homewares and electricals,
but, I mean, the
clothing, food.
Part, but, when you go into, when you look at all the the wet fish side of it.
Yeah.
And all I don't eat cheese, but I mean all the cheeses like you imagine it in France. There's just like hundreds of different types of cheeses and loads of fresh fish.
Nice
and
fresh bakery.
It is a really impressive supermarket. Actually.
So those of you who've been to America, it's kind of like a slightly more upmarket Walmart, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's as big as one of the big super Walmarts.
Yeah.
But it's got some really nice stuff there. So that is worth a little trip.
If you're into cakes and things and stuff, which I used to be. There's loads and loads of different types. So you imagine like French pastries and patisseries and French bread, and they make you fresh pancakes there.
Yes, everything you want. They also do lots of like sandwiches and ready packed sort of lunches and things to grab and go, which again are so much cheaper than buying stuff in the park. So if you actually don't want to, make your own food and whatever, but you think, oh well, I could do with buying like a little baguette or a salad or whatever made up. They do them there really cheap as well, so it would be worth having a little trip there just to go and get some stock up on some bits if you wanted to do that. Anyway, hopefully that's helped you. Yes, it can be done. It's still not cheap, but Disney never has been. But it's just about planning, budgeting, and, as I say, being a bit savvy about it all. If you want to go and stay on site and have that whole Disney experience and you're prepared to pay for that, then that is great. And we've done that in the past and we've loved it.
Oh yeah, it was good.
It's just too expensive for us now.
We did do it when it was a lot more affordable.
Yeah, and you used to get 50% off on your annual pass for staying at hotels.
Yeah, we've had some massive discounts at the Sequoia Lodge before.
Yeah.
Really big discounts on staying there.
But now you don't get that.
But now it's just like... it's just like ridiculous amounts of money now. I don't know how they even justify it really, but...
Yeah, so for us it's just too expensive to do that now. But if we've spent out on the annual pass, but that means that because we're not staying on site, for what we do to stay on site for 4 nights, we could probably do 2 or 3 trips with that same amount of money.
Yeah.
So you've got to look at it that way as well.
And plus with the driving, I mean, if you're okay with driving,
it's a really easy run.
And your cars, I mean, it's literally, I mean, once you get to Folkestone, once you get on the other side, I mean, the easiest way to explain it is it's basically three different roads, and one of them you're on for like
96
about
miles.
96 miles on one road. And you know, they're just superb, and obviously they're pretty good over there. I mean, you do get the odd, you know, you might have the odd idiot on the road. Nowhere near as many as you get here, but generally they're quite courteous on the road. They don't lane hog. You know, if they overtake, they're straight back in again. They're indicating. You know, it's quite a pleasant driving experience, which it generally isn't over here anymore.
Yeah.
And if, like I say, if you got, you know, if your car's quite good on fuel, you know, it can work out so much cheaper. I mean, on those sort, obviously, because you're on long roads, you know, it's cruising mileage, and it's, you know, it's a good economical. I mean, going to France and back on yours. I mean, yours is that'll do like 700 miles on a tank full on runs like that, and you know, it's really good. It can be done.
Yeah. So I think also
it's even cheaper.
It's the benefit also of being able to load your car up with whatever you want to take, like all the waters and things like that as well. So
we've done quite a lot in the past on the Eurostar when it was running, and it was good. I mean, if it's still around, I probably would still use it occasionally, but obviously you are a bit limited to what you can carry, and you know, you've obviously got to pump the cases and things and stuff around, which isn't an issue, but it's
yeah, but you can't take all the foods and things. We've got an electric cool box as well, so in the car, so we can use that to, like, we brought back loads of cheeses and things, which was, you know, handy to do. So if you're taking a packed lunch and it's a warm day, you can stick that in your cooler box. You know. So it was
back a few frogs.
Yeah, that was an investment that we did that was worth it for us, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
frogs are nice.
But anyway, before Gary goes off on a tangent,
you just bring back a whole frog, and when you get back, you just chop the legs off when you get back.
I'm not putting that in. That's horrible.
I wouldn't kill a frog.
It's horrible.
I'm an animal lover.
Yeah.
That's why I love you.
Yeah.
You're an animal.
Anyway, yeah, so the cooler box was a good investment for us. Right, so just before we go, I thought I'd show you, we didn't really buy much this time, did we? We brought back a few things that other people had asked us to purchase for them, like our family and friends.
Some cheese and garlic.
We did bring some cheese and garlic.
And we bought some French sticks back as well, didn't we?
We did. We brought back French, because what we did on the very last day, we went.
Oh yeah, that was on the bakery.
We went to Alshan on the very last day. As we were leaving, we drove via there and went in and bought a few fresh bits to bring back. But the one thing we did buy was this, which is very ironic for me, because I don't know if you can see that. Because obviously, as some of you may know, Big Thunder Mountain is not my favourite ride. It scares the life out of me. I'm not good on roller coasters, but when we arrived, this was like some of the attraction merch that they'd sort of said they were bringing out ages and ages ago, and we never got it. But I just fell in love with this. The minute we walked in the park, I said to Gary, I really like that. I think I'm going to have to get that. And I looked at it for the first day or two, didn't I? And then went, no, I'm going to get it.
Smart.
And then we showed our daughter a photo, and she went, yeah, I want that too. So she has one as well. But yeah, I thought this Spirit jersey was really nice. It's got, you can see all bits. And we've just discovered that it's got a little QR code label on it. And when you actually go on the QR code, you get some filters and things for your photos and such like. So yeah, that was interesting. We only just discovered that.
Yeah, I just noticed it. I thought it was a tag hanging off of it.
Yeah.
Which sort of is, but it's meant to be there.
Yeah.
But,
so, all in all, yes, you can do Disneyland Paris on a budget. Just do your research. Just you know, be sensible, be savvy. And, you know, there we go. The budget case.
Yes, this budget was delivered to you by non-crooks.
Right, thank you for watching, and we hope that's been of some help. If you've got any questions, we're always happy to try and help anybody in any way we can. So if there's anything we haven't covered that you think you might like to know, then drop us a comment down below and we will try and get back to you as soon as we can. Bit slack with the answering them sometimes, but I'll do my best. So anyway, thank you for watching and
yes,
take care.
And if you're falling asleep, wake up.
Look after each other. Take care. Bye.
Tally ho, Major.